have discussed two types of plants. So that is terrestrial plants, and the second one is aquatic plants. Now the last type of plants, that is the third type of plants, are insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants. So what are insectivorous plants? So if you observe the word insectivorous, here the word insect means insects, and the remaining word, that is vorous, means eating. So insectivorous means insects eating. So that's why these plants eat insects. So that's why these plants are called insectivorous plants, because these plants eats insects and flies just like that. So that's why these plants are named as insectivorous plants, and these plants are also called as carnivorous plants. So another name for these plants is carnivorous plants. So there are two names for these plants. One is insectivorous plants, and these plants has also another name as carnivorous plants. So the examples for the insectivorous plants are, the first one is pitcher plant. Pitcher. So pitcher plant. So if you observe the pitcher plant image, so look at the picture. So the pitcher plant, you are observing the image of pitcher plant here. So especially these insectivorous plants have different colors and looking very beautiful. So because of their beautifulness and because of their colors, different colors, the insects are easily attracted by these plants. So these plants have some special features. That means their leaves, their stems have different structures. So because of their different structures, they can easily catch the insects, and they have different colors. So and looking very beautiful. So easily the insects are attracted for these colors and come to near these plants by attracting these colors, and they easily trapped by these plants. So look at the picture. In this picture you are observing a pitcher plant. So here the word pitcher means a jar. So these plants contains a jar-like structure. So look at the picture. In the picture you are observing a jar-like structure. That means you are observing a sac. So especially in this plant, the leaves are modified and some of the roots. So some of the leaves are modified into this jar-like structure. So that's why that jar-like structure is also called pitcher. So this jar-like structure, that means the pitcher has a sweet fluid. That means a sweet syrups are contained in the pitcher. So because of this sweet fluid, that means the sweet syrups, the insects are easily attracted by these sweet syrups and come inside the pitcher to eat that sweet syrup. So when the insects come into the syrup, they will fall into the pitcher, and the pitcher will be closed by the lid. So if you observe carefully the picture, there is a lid-like structure for the pitcher at the upper part. So the pitcher is nothing but a jar-like structure or a sac-like structure. This pitcher contains a sweet syrup or a sweet fluids, and this sweet fluid is especially to attract the insects. So by smelling this sweet syrups, the insects easily comes to this pitcher and they fell down into the pitcher. when they fell down into the pitcher will be closed by a lid-like structure. Then the plant will digest the insect and it will absorb the nutrients from the insects. So, especially these plants, they cannot prepare food by the process of photosynthesis because these plants does not contains green colored parts. So photosynthesis will take place only in the green colored parts of the plant. But this insectivorous plants does not have any green colored parts. That's why the photosynthesis process will not take place in this type of plants and they cannot prepare their food. So they cannot prepare their food just by they depends upon the insects. So their structure will be modified so as to trap the insects. So in pitcher plant, the leaves are modified into a pitcher, and when the insects fall into the pitcher, the plant will kill that insects and digest their insect, and it will absorb the nutrients from the insect. So this is one example for the insectivorous plants. And the second example for the insect plants is sundew plant. Sundew plant. Sundew plant. So look at the picture. Have you ever seen the sundew plant? So look at the pictures. The picture, you are observing a sundew plant. So it's very nice and looking very beautiful. So if you observe the picture, you are observing a hair-like structures around its leaves. So if you carefully observe the picture, this sundew plant has leaves, and around the leaves there are hair-like structures. And at the end of each hair there is a gum ball. So this gum ball will easily attract the insects. When the insect come near to this leaf, they will stick to the insect. So when the insect come near to the leaves, it will fold the insect and kill the insect, and it will digest the insect and it will absorb the nutrients. So this is about sundew plant. So sundew plant, especially it has hair-like structures having a gum ball at the end of the eggs. So when the insect come near to this sundew plant, it will fold, its leaf will be folded the insect and kill the insect, and it will eat the insect. So this is about a sundew plant. And the third example for the insectivorous plant is Venus flytrap. Venus flytrap. So look at the picture. The picture, you are observing a Venus flytrap. So these carnivorous plants have different structures and different sizes. They are very interesting and looking very beautiful because to attract the insects in such a way. Venus flytrap. So Venus flytrap is an example for insectivorous plants. This plant also eats insects. So look at the picture. You are observing two blades. That means in these plants the leaves are modified into two blades. At the edge of each blade you are observing a spikes-like structures. That means a spike-like structure. So when the insect enter the blades, inside the blade, it will snap, shut the insect, and the insect cannot come outside the blades. It will completely closes the insect and kill the insects and finally eat the insect. So in this way, the Venus flytrap may snap shut the insect when it comes in between the blades of their leaves. So in this plant, the leaves, there are no leaves. The leaves are modified into two blades. At the edge of each blade, there are spike-like structures. So when the insect enters in between the two blades, then it will close and it will kill the insect and it will eat the insect. So in this way, insectivorous plants eats the insects and depends upon the insects, and they does not prepare their food by using photosynthesis process. So that's why they depend upon the insects. To attract the insects, each plant has each modification. That means each plant has different types of structures, different types of features, so as to attract the insects. So children, in this chapter, up to now we have discussed different types of plants, that is terrestrial plants, aquatic plants and insectivorous plants, and also discussed the different types of plants and examples for those plants. So let us see once again the glossary of this chapter, that means the summary of the chapter in the way of a simple flow chart. So let us see the flow chart or a summary of this chapter which describing the different types of plants and examples. So with the help of this flow chart, we can easily remember the different types of plants and the examples for those. So let us see the plants. The plants are divided into three types. So first of all, the plants are divided into three types, and first one is terrestrial plants. So terrestrial plants, and the second one is aquatic plants. So aquatic plants, and the third type is insectivorous plants. So insectivorous plants. So these are the different types of plants which are divided based on their habitats. So again, the terrestrial plants are divided into four types. So let us see the different kinds of terrestrial plants. So the first type is desert plants, and the second type is plants of plains. That means the plants which grow in plain areas, and the plants of marshy areas, and the plants of hilly areas. So these are the different types of terrestrial plants. Four types of terrestrial plants: desert plants, plants of plains, and plants of marshy areas, and plants of hilly areas. And again, aquatic plants are divided into three types. So, and the first type is floating plants. So floating plants, and the second type is fixed plant. So fixed plants, and the third one is submerged plants. Submerged plants. So this is the classification of plants. So this chart explains the classification of plants. So the plants are divided into three types based on their habitats: terrestrial plants, aquatic plants, and insectivorous plants. And again, terrestrial plants are divided into four types, and aquatic plants are again divided into three types. And let us see the examples, two examples for each one. So the desert plants, the example is cactus and palm trees, and the examples for the plants which grow in plain area are mango trees and banyan trees and peepal trees, etc. And the plants which grow in marshy areas are mangroves, and the plants which grow in hill areas are pine trees and spruce trees and fir trees. So these are the examples for the plants which grow in hilly areas. So let us see the examples for the aquatic plants. So the examples for the floating plants are, so let us see the examples for the floating plants. So that is, so example for floating plants are, so duckweed plants and water hyacinth, etc. And the examples for the fixed plants are lotus and water lily, etc. And examples for the subventual plants are hydrilla and vallisneria. And we have already discussed the examples for the insectivorous plants. So insectivorous plants, the examples are pitcher plant and sundew plant and Venus flytrap. So these are the examples for insectivorous plants. So this is the summary of the chapter green plants. So if you read this chapter by drawing this flowchart, we can easily remember the different types of plants and examples in a single page.
Children, let us do some activities in the exercise part.